Welcome to Frenzied Printing. My name is Becky. I'll be your host. Let's get into today's video.
Hey, I'm back. All right, so I took a little hiatus from content creation. Life just kind of happened to us. So here we are. I'm back to explain a few more things about the Anycubic Slicer Next settings. In the previous videos, I already went over the file, the menu, the calibration. I will flash that up in the corner for you. And then I also already went over printer presets and filament presets, and I'll flash those as well. For this video, I'm going to use the Cobra 3 with a 0.4 nozzle, and we're going to dive into process settings. I already did a video about supports, so I will flash that up in the corner for you if you're interested in supports. What I think is the most invaluable tool of this slicer is this search button right here. So when you click the search, if somebody had given you some advice on social media or in a forum somewhere and said, adjust such and such, and you're thinking, I'm new to this, I don't know what such and such is, I don't know where to look for it, how do I find that? Well, you can simply respond and ask, and hopefully there's a lot of helpful people out here in this community that will give you the answer. You can also use this search tool. So if you're not exactly sure what it is they're talking about, where it's located, and how to adjust it, click on the search tool and start typing it in. So as an example, let's say somebody said to you, change your wall generation from classic to Arachne, right? And you're like, I don't know what Arachne is, and I don't know what a wall generator is. Do I put gas in it or what? Um, Go ahead and just start typing wall generator. This is a dynamic search. So as you type, it's going to give you narrower and narrower options until you actually find it. So here we go with wall generator. If somebody had given you advice about it and you click on it from this search bar, look, it's blinking. Right here is wall generator. You were just looking for this. Hi. So that's how you can use this search tool here. I really love it. I think it's a great tool. In here has some presets. These are stock system presets that Anycubic has loaded for you. So if you're not quite sure what to use, you can try one of these out. It might work for you, it might not, but it's good that they're there for newbies who just want to get going. But should you use one and it's not really working, that's what this video is for. You'll see up here I have my user presets. These are process presets that I have designed and customized, and then I save them. And I name them different things, like this one's for TPU, this one's for high-speed TPU, this one's for watertight clear vessels like vases. This is my 0.2, this is my half-speed 0.1, this is my 0.16, which is my go-to guy. But yeah, so that's what all these are. So anyway, I didn't want to totally skip over it and ignore it. It is important. If you do have some things in here and it's cluttered up and you're like, I need to get rid of some of these. Like I used to make drink koozies for all my friends for their birthday. And so I just made a preset for that. It has all my saved wall information, infill information, layer height stuff, all that stuff. It's saved in there specifically for that one purpose. If I find, you know what, I don't like giving out koozies to my friends anymore, I'm going to delete this custom preset because it's cluttering up my stuff. I can select it and click this minus button and it will ask me if I'm sure, do I want to delete it? You could say yes, and it will remove it from your list. If you've changed some of these things and you want to make a preset, like I have here, after you're done making changes and edits to this settings, you can then click the Save Disk right here and save your process settings and give it a unique name. Click User Preset. I know it's not letting me click it, but preset inside a project means you're saving it to a 3MF, and User Preset means you're saving it to your slicer or even your cloud settings for your slicer. So it'll always be there every time you log in and open up your slicer. All right, moving on. Let's start at the top, layer height. Layer height in 3D printing describes the distance between the bed and the nozzle. And then, of course, after your first layer prints, it would be the distance between the layer and the nozzle. The greater the distance, the higher the layer height, the less quality your model is going to have visually. You'll see the layer lines. You might even have some low quality damage on the front of your model. All right, back to our fields. Okay, so layer height we talked about. We didn't talk about why it is so important. A little bit, I did talk about surface damage and quality, right? So the higher your layer height, the less quality you'll have visually on your model. From a sloped surface looking at it, it will have either some chunky lines or some smooth surface depending on what you enter in here. The same can be said for trying to print a layer height that is too small for your nozzle. So if your nozzle is a standard 0.4 nozzle and you're trying to print a really small layer height just to get that extra fine feature, it's not going to work because of pressure. So you have to change your nozzle out to a 0.2 nozzle if you want to go extra fine. In this picture here, you can see that our little pirate friend here has some jagged teeth and a sword that is supposed to have, a serrated edge. It's got some teeth. And if you look, the 0.4 nozzle at the same layer height, the teeth are missing, the whole jaw is missing on this skeleton, and the teeth on his sword is missing and damaged and mangled. So, and even on his hat, the design on the front of the hat at the peak is just gone. So if you go ahead and purchase a 0.2 nozzle and you're use the same layer height, but using a 0.2 nozzle, you can get way better quality. Unfortunately, speed becomes the sacrifice when aiming for the best quality. The higher quality you want it, the lower the layer height, and the longer it will take to print. Of course, you can always bump your speed up to like sport mode or something, but that is not advisable, especially if your model has delicate features or if you're printing with standard material and not high-speed material, you might encounter some failures. So at your own risk if you want to bump up the speed and use a lower layer height. But this is a hobby. We should be enjoying the hobby. Don't rush it. Like, let's enjoy this. Um, if it's super important to you, like somebody's party today and I need to bring a gift, yeah, I could see why you might risk it. I've been there. We've done it. You can manipulate the layer height right here. First layer height refers to the very first layer that gets put on your build plate. You always want a little bit bigger of a layer height for your first layer because it helps with bed adhesion. If you're trying to print a very thin line on the bed, it's probably not going to stick. It has a better chance of sticking if it's a larger line. So always go taller and fatter with your first layer. Then every layer above that, you can manipulate the number right here. So you can change it to whatever it is that you want to change it to. Of course, there is a maximum and minimum layer height, and that is going to be based on your nozzle diameter. I do have a picture about maximums and minimums over nozzle diameters for various nozzles right here. I will link the 2.2 millimeter nozzle from Amazon in my description of the video. I'll also link some other various upgraded nozzles that I personally use and never have a problem with. Moving right along down to line width. Line width is the width of your line as it's getting printed. So layer height is the vertical tallness of your line, and width is like the fatness of your line as it prints. So default, typically, if I'm describing something poorly and you're not understanding me, if you hover over each one of these fields, you'll get the anycubic definition of what these are. So uh, default line width is if any of these fields below the default are listed as 0 or end up being a 0 for whatever reason, it will default to this number. So I always leave this alone. Use the default value, never had a problem. First layer, again, this is the first layer that's going down on your build plate. You always want it to be taller and fatter, kind of like me. So first layer should be, I think, 0.5. That's what I have the best luck with. Of course, there is such a thing as going too fat for your first layer line. And here's a great example. So if your prints are coming out like this, you may want to take about 30% off there, bud. Letterkenny reference. Anyway, it gives a good squish. If it's too squishy, you might have to slow down your flow rate, and I've already discussed that on a calibration video, but it kind of plays in with line width as well. So if your line width is too fat, you'll get some squish. That means you'll have plastic squeezed upwards where it's not supposed to be squeezed upwards. Plastic should lay nice and flat. So the next layer can go nice and flat and your nozzle doesn't drag on your model. If your nozzle's dragging on your model, that means you have too much plastic squished together, which then created it to bubble upward slightly. How many times have we seen an image like this one as a cry for help in every 3D printing forum out there? Help, these lines. My nozzle's dragging. I can hear it dragging. We've all seen it. And if you're new here, hi, you're going to see this a lot. You'll see people give quite a bit of advice on how to fix this. Typically, it's reduce your flow ratio, doing a calibration of your filament. Again, already linked that video. And increase your Z-hop, which, okay, sure, that's like a temporary fix, still doesn't fix the quality issue that you can visibly see that there are ridges on the top of your model, especially if it has flat surfaces. So you'll need to adjust your flow rate down or decrease your line width somewhere. All right, so that's first layer line width. Outer wall. Outer wall, if you know the basics of 3D models and printing and how that works, the outer wall is the wall you visually see with your eyeballs. The inner wall is the wall that's on the inside guts of your model that nobody sees. The top surface is the surface facing upward from if you're looking down at your build plate. It's the very top surface. For my own, this is the stock settings, but personally, I generally lower this number to like a 0.24 or a 0.3. I like a 0.3. 0.3 is pretty good. What it does is it makes the lines on the very top of your model thinner, so they're harder, especially for people who are 40, to see. So people who like a nice smooth top surface, especially if it's text or it's a coaster, something like that, something flat. I can't think right now, but if it has a nice flat surface and you don't like seeing layer lines, reduce your top surface line width. Of course, there are maximums and minimums with that too. So it depends on your nozzle diameter. Sparse infill. Sparse infill is, remember where you go to your strength setting and you're increasing infill or decreasing infill to fill the inside guts of your model so that it has stability for your walls and has something for them to stick to. So sparse infill line width, not sure that this is very important or if it ever plays a factor. If anyone knows, please comment. Internal solid infill, again, this is the solid infill that, let's say, the bottom of your model needs to be thick so you can't penetrate it very easily. So taking a look at just a simple cylinder here, this is layer number one. That's what layer number one looks like. This is an outer wall, and orange, yellow is the inner wall, and this dark purple is our bottom surface. If you go one layer up, look, we still have another bottom surface, but it's not the bottom bottom, so they call that solid infill. So depending on how many layers of solid infill or bottom surfaces you would like, that's what it's going to print, solid infill. And you should always have them rotate or print in different directions. So that's alternating pattern. That's for strength. And then once you get past all your solid infill, this is where you see sparse infill. This is in red, a gyroid pattern. This is sparse infill. All right, so that's what it's talking about. Do these widths of these lines matter? I don't know. If anyone knows, please let me know. comment it below. Again, with the solid infill, the width of these lines, does it matter? Probably not. I can't think of a good reason for that to matter. Maybe if you're trying to fill little gaps and stuff, like if you're printing light boxes, that might be something you want to play with, that setting. Also, let me see, support. Okay, so we went through all of the line widths except for support. Support line width is if you have a support on your model, just like this outer wall here, it's going to print a certain width. If you want your support to be more sturdy, right? Maybe it has holes in it, or you've experienced very thin supports breaking and falling over during print because of the high speed of these machines. You may want to increase this number slightly. The next section is about seams. I already did a highly detailed seams YouTube tutorial for this slicer, so I will link that also up in the corner, so check that one out if you're interested in more information about seams. Since this is a beginner's series of videos for using the slicer, I'm not going to get too in-depth about troubleshooting print quality problems. I have already given a couple of little details, tips here and there, but here's a good example of where line width can help improve print quality. So this came out pretty poorly. The guy went back and he measured how thick his walls were supposed to be in the slicer, right? Like how thick are they supposed to be, not how thick did they turn out. And then went back and divided that by the number of walls he was printing under the strength setting. So in here, strength, right at the top, it will say how many number of walls you're printing. And then you divide by the width of your nozzle. So if the width of your nozzle is 0.04 and you have that many walls, then you can pretty much gather how thick or wide your lines should be, and that will help keep the walls nice and uniform. There's a lot of other little tricks that help assist that along the way, and we'll get to that in other videos. So that's it for today, guys, for quality process settings. I'll have another video coming out to continue with the next set of settings under precision, and stick around if you want to hear a song that one of my fans wrote me. I thought it was pretty cool.
Oh, Becky, Becky, saving the day, one misprint, one movie showing the way. Oh, Becky, Becky, the 3D queen, building dreams from the unseen. Her printer hums a futuristic beat, mistakes become lessons, no defeat. She's the glue when the pieces fall apart. The maker's art. Oh, Becky, Becky, saving the day, one misprint, one movie showing the way. Oh, Becky, Becky, the 3D queen, building dreams from the unseen. From the Pleo to the ABS, Becky's got the magic, she's the best. Click subscribe, watch the magic unfold. She's saving the world with her printer's gold. Oh, Becky, Becky, saving the day, one misprint, one movie showing the way.